Matters turns 10, and KBLA Talk 1580 is proud to be the exclusive media partner of the People's Justice Festival. This Saturday, July 15th, 12 to 6 p.m. in Leimert Park. Come join us as we celebrate the life-saving and history-making work of Black Lives Matter to help bend the arc of the moral universe toward justice. There will be live music performances, a children's village, giveaways, vendors, a healing justice space, Skillshare, and amazing speakers including Green Party presidential candidate Dr. Cornel West live on stage at 4:30 p.m. For more information, go to blmgrassroots.org. That's www.blmgrassroots.org. Dominique DePrima and Tavis Smiley will be main stage hosts throughout the day, and the KBLA Talk 1580 delegation will be out in full force. So, join us this Saturday, July 15th, 12 to 6 p.m. in Leimert Park as we celebrate the 10th anniversary of Black Lives Matter. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
I done plant my seeds, now I'm rooted. Brown skin popping, I'm rooted. Can pull the hood out, but I'm rooted. Rooted, nappy head, rooted.
You ready?
It's the queen of royal badness.
It's time for the Raw Report with Robin Ayers.
Highlighting people and things you should know about.
Robin's got you covered. Follow Robin at Robin Ayers. You're listening to the Raw Report on KBLA Talk 1580.
Robin's got a lot to talk about.
All my life, been grinding all my life. Sacrifice, hustle, pay the price. Want a slice, got to roll the dice. That's why all my life I've been grinding all my life. Look, all my life, been grinding all my life. Sacrifice, hustle, pay the price. Want a slice, got to roll the dice. That's why all my life I've been grinding all my life. Look, I'm married to this game. That's who I made my.
All right, Andy, I see you, man.
I
see you. No, one of my favorite things about Robin's show is that Andy be starting the show off with the bangers, and the appropriate bangers. And no, Robin's voice did not get deeper. This is Avi Bernard filling in for Robin, who has a rare yet well-deserved day off. So glad to have you with us, whether you're listening on 1580 AM in Los Angeles, or on the free KBLA 1580 app, or watching on YouTube. If you're watching, then you would know that Robin didn't just have a frog in her throat. So yeah, as I was saying, Andy be having the appropriate bangers. Like last week when they were talking about Britney Spears and Victor Wembanyama, I wasn't expecting, as I ended my Friday show, to walk out and hear Hit Me Baby One More Time by Britney Spears. I was not expecting that. But I did hear Hit Me Baby One More Time by Britney Spears because Andy knows what's happening. Andy is going to play what song needs to be played. It may not be the song you expect if you are a listener and you haven't been privy to what we're going to be talking about during the show, but just know that Andy is going to give you a hint. Usually. Today he just played some neighborhood nip, and that's always appropriate because it's neighborhood nip. So we're not necessarily talking about anything regarding neighborhood nips today. But anyway, welcome in. We're going to be talking to my good friend Jerome Trammell. And if you haven't seen some of Jerome's videos, then you're missing out. I forget who it was. It might have been Tommy Loren. Maybe I'll ask Jerome when we get him in here after the break. But he has a video. I think he he disrupted somebody's speech, some hardcore right-wing person's speech, and it was hilarious. Anyway, let's get into what we're going to be discussing this evening.
Now it's time for a breakdown.
So, the Emmy nominations for 2023 have been released. They are out. We're going to get into those. Are you disappointed? Are you happy? Do you think the nominations are accurate? Do you think the correct people were nominated? Has anyone been snubbed? We're going to talk to Jerome about that. And this whole Twitter and Threads situation. Wow. Elon Musk really just blew a 3-1 lead. He had this Twitter this Twitter app that he purchased, fully functioning, fully operational, all these users, and the usability and the likability of Twitter has gone significantly down since he bought it, because he bought it. We're going to talk about that. And also, I'm going to see what else we have time for. But if we don't get into these topics a little bit later, then forgive me. But I'm just going to give you just a little breakdown of a couple other things that have been happening today. Whoopi Goldberg, she says, don't use my hologram after I die. She has it in her will that you cannot use a hologram of Whoopi Goldberg. You cannot have a futuristic episode of The View in which you have a holographic Whoopi Goldberg filling in for the departed Whoopi Goldberg. It's in her directive. You cannot do that. So how do you feel about people using holographs? I think the first one I remember people doing this was Tupac. Because I don't know about you, but when I first heard that Tupac died, I was a big believer in the fact that he was not really dead. You know, the 7 theory and all that stuff, and also I just didn't want him to be dead. He was my favorite rapper. And so that holograph stuff with Tupac, I kind of understood, but doing it for almost anybody else seems a little strange. Would we even want, would there even be any requests for a holographic Whoopi Goldberg? I don't know. I don't think there would be. What would that be used for? She's not going to be performing on stage. All right, and the other thing that we may or may not have time to get into a little deeper is Meek Mill shouting, "Free Tory Lanez," during one of his performances. Now, I know they collaborated on a song, and they're probably friends. But just because somebody is in jail or prison doesn't mean that they should be freed. And it doesn't mean you should advocate for their freedom. This man shot Megan Thee Stallion. He shot her. Now, I know we've all heard of domestic abuse and things like that, but that's kind of taking things to a different level. But before I could probably just do this segment talking about how ridiculous some of these things are, but I want to bring Jerome in here. So when we come forward, we're going to get Jerome in here to get his take on some of this stuff, and we can also welcome you and your opinion to the program as well. Just give us a call, 800-920-1580. That's 800-920-1580, and you will be on the radio with us. And when we come forward, we're going to be having a deeper discussion about these topics right here on KBLA Talk 1580.
Yo, what's going on? It's your boy Eric Bellinger hanging out right here with my family at the Raw Report. Keep it locked.
You're inside the Raw Report with Robin Ayers on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Los Angeles Urban League helps African American and others in underserved communities achieve true social parity, economic self-reliance, and civil rights. For over 100 years, Los Angeles Urban League has ensured our communities have access to careers with living wages, opportunities to start and grow businesses, and clear pathways to personal and professional growth. Programs like BizCamp, Construction Career Academy, Bob Business Ready, and B-Warp. The Black Wealth Attainment and Retention Program are examples of the ongoing events designed to make our centennial mission to rebuild Black Wall Street right here in LA a reality. To sign up for our newsletter or to support the Los Angeles Urban League with your time, talent, and donations, visit laul.org. That's laul.org. The Los Angeles Urban League is a proud sponsor of Urban Family Focus, Saturdays at 7 a.m. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Venture X card from Capital One gives you premium travel benefits, perfect for seeing Taylor Swift The Eras Tour. Presented by Capital One. Ooh, I do love her. Earn 5 times miles on flights and 10 times miles on hotels through Capital One Travel.
Enjoy your stay in Suite 13.
Whoa, 13? That's Taylor's lucky number. The Venture X card from Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
She's so smooth. So I'm interrupting my own shower to remind you to treat your skin like the queen she is with Olay Hyaluronic Body Wash. Packed with Olay's highest level of vitamin B3 complex. It's so moisturizing that it will give you visibly smoother, head-turning skin in just 14 days. People wondering, how'd she get so smooth? Olay Hyaluronic Body Wash. Also, try Olay Hyaluronic Body Lotion.
For the ones who know safety isn't a catchphrase, it's a culture. And the ones who help make sure everyone makes it home safe. For the safety-minded who watch everyone's backs, Grainger offers supplies and solutions for every industry, as well as safety assessments and training to keep your facilities safe and your people safer. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
The Dell Technologies Black Friday and July event starts now with limited quantity deals on top business PCs with Windows 11 Pro. Save on select Vostro laptops with built-in security features and select Latitude laptops with enhanced privacy, collaboration, and connectivity. Plus, get special financing with Dell Business Credit. Dell Technologies recommends Windows 11 Pro for business. Call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL. Offered to business customers by WebBank, who determines qualifications for and terms of credit.
Giving you your daily dose of entertainment and celebrity news.
You're inside the Rob
Report. With Robin Ayers on KBLA Talk 1580.
And it's Avi Bernard filling in for Robin tonight, and I am joined by TV producer and media personality Jerome Trammell. Jerome, thanks so much for joining us. How you doing tonight?
Hey, Avi, how are you?
I'm doing well, So glad to have you here. So just, I gave the listeners a little bit of information about a video you put out a while ago that I have always treasured since I saw it, and I forget who was the subject. Was it Tommy Loren?
Oh yeah, Tommy Loren. Good.
Yeah. So I remember you came to one of her speeches, and then you basically said Tommy Loren is a and something like that, right?
Yeah. So what happened is Tommy Loren, she's the racist, conservative lady that picks fights with everyone who's black or queer. And so she's coming to Atlanta for a real estate conference. So what we did was we decided to RSVP all the tickets and all the seats, so then it will be an empty venue. So there was about 750 seats. We RSVP, like Nicki Minaj fans, Beyonce fans. We just all got together. Everybody was just just deserving. And so I was like, you know what? I got to show up so I can take pictures of the empty venue. So out of the 750 seats that were there were about maybe 100 people that showed up at the most. So the venue looked really empty. And I was just going there to take pictures, but she started her speech with talking about Jussie Smollett during that, that time. Mm-hmm. And she was like, I should have bought my bleach and my noose. And then she was saying all kinds of stuff. I'm like, you cannot come to Atlanta, the blackest city in this country, and spread that racist and anti-queer rhetoric. So I just had to let her know that we weren't thinking that, we weren't standing for it.
I love it. As I said, I treasure that video.
So, it went viral, millions and millions of views everywhere. So I didn't expect that, but, it was cool.
When you're doing the Lord's work, that's what happens, And so
Listen, I'm doing the work for my ancestors. Okay?
Exactly. And where can people check out that video? On your IG, or what's the best place for people to check out that video?
You can just Google it, Jerome and Tommy Loren, and it'll pop up everywhere. Just Google it.
All right. I love it. All right, so I want to start by talking about this Threads and Twitter situation. So this is funny to me because it really reminds me of Suge Knight. And
okay,
yeah, I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why it reminds me of Suge Knight and Diddy. And not that Mark Zuckerberg is like Suge Knight in any other way, but Mark Zuckerberg is Suge Knight in this situation, and Diddy is Elon Musk. All right, now,
okay.
Andy, I'm gonna ask you to play this clip for me, and we'll talk about it. I'll tell you exactly what I mean.
First of all, I'd like to thank God. Second of all, I'd like to thank my whole entire Defo family on both sides. You know what I'm saying? I'd like to tell Tupac to keep his guards up. We ride with him. And one other thing I'd like to say, any artist out there want to be an artist and want to stay a star, and don't want to have to worry about the executive producer trying to be all in the videos, all on the record, dancing. Come to Death Row.
Thank you for that, Andy. So, as Suge Knight said in that clip, any artists who want to stay a star and don't want the CEO all in the video, all on the record, dancing, come to Death Row. Very classic clip. That's basically what Mark Zuckerberg said to Elon Musk. Any social media users who want to have a good time posting without the CEO all in the thread, posting his own stuff, trying to be the main attraction on the social media site, come to Threads. And so this is funny because instantaneously, as soon as this app was open, I think it was 24 million users in the first 24 hours, something like that, or 30 million users, and some crazy number like that. But now,
right now that's over 100 million.
Jeez. And so we have instantaneously, as soon as this site is opened, Elon Musk has a major competitor, his biggest competitor. You know, he always had other social media sites as his competitor, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, whatever. But this one is exactly like Twitter. And so I just want to get your take on the rollout of Threads and whether you think it could eventually take over Twitter as the main kind of what should we say, kind of social media Twitter is, like the kind of talkative social media. Instagram is the picture social media. TikTok is like the video social media. You know, Facebook is like the grandparent social media. So could Threads take over Twitter as the main kind of social media where people go to kind of express their mind in a tweet or in a thread?
Well, so Threads definitely have the possibility to take over Twitter. However, what's working in Elon to his benefit is that a lot of right wing, a lot of conservative people are going to definitely stay with the Twitter. And being honest, they have a loyal following. So is it going to hurt Twitter? Yes. Will it end Twitter? I don't necessarily think it'll end Twitter. But Threads definitely had an amazing rollout, like from top to bottom. And it's user friendly. It's very easy to know what you're doing. It's not confusing. So they really had a great rollout.
And so, and one of the things you mentioned in right wingers being loyal to Twitter, I think that's absolutely correct. However, I do think that might be one of the detriments of Twitter going forward, is that it's become a lot more right wing overall, and it does feel more on Twitter. When you're on Twitter, it's like, wait, where am I? Why are all these people talking about this in this way? And I'm not seeing a lot of people that are kind of like-minded like myself. Me personally being a liberal hack, I don't see a lot of people like that. I mean, of course, there are still some on there, but it feels a lot more like a desolate, like a social media hellscape lately. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah. Twitter has turned into a them versus us situation, and so there's a lot of trolling. There's a lot of arguments, and what I think when I log on to Twitter, you're going to always see a debate. It's going to be this conservative debate. Amongst us, it's always going on. So that's essentially what Twitter turns into. If you want to argue, you want to find opposing opinions, you just go to Twitter and you're gonna find it. You're gonna have people agree with you. You're gonna have people that disagree with you. So that's what literally Twitter has turned into. It used to be a nice space of like social commentary and people cultivating like good energy and stuff like that. But it just turned into this whole chaos and everybody's split.
Yeah, and it is. And Twitter, that's the funny thing about Twitter, is that it doesn't matter what you're talking about. There's going to be somebody on there disagreeing with you. I really like, I'm so glad I have this apple. I really like apples. And someone will jump on, what are you saying about oranges? What's wrong with oranges?
Yeah, that's what it is. Like, don't forget about the pears. And it's like, oh my God. Like every opinion, every thought, every tweet has to be picked apart with people with opposing views. So that's what it turns into. But I will say that Elon is accusing Threads of having like former Twitter employees as part of the engineering process, and that's absolutely 100% untrue. And Threads spoke out about that they have no engineers that are former employees of Twitter. But also, what I will say is that while we're talking about Twitter and Threads, we should be talking about Spill, which is the new. I feel like it's a new Black Twitter. It is created by Black people who were actually fired from Twitter. So Alfonso and DeForest were fired from Twitter, and they started the Spill app, which really took off and launched really big. Got right now hundreds of thousands of subscribers. So it's still growing because it's in its beta stages, but Spill is definitely, they have their foot in the race. So I'm excited about that.
You said it's called Still, like Still?
Yeah, Spill.
I have not heard about that. Okay, I'm going to look that one up.
Yeah, it's growing. It actually was the #1 trending topic on Twitter even before Threads launched. Like right before Threads launched, it was the #1 topic on Twitter for like 2 days straight because they were like, "Oh, this is the Black Twitter, so it's created by us, for us, centering us, but everyone's invited."
Well, I'm definitely jumping on there then. We got to support the Black-owned, Black-made stuff. If we're going to jump on Threads, like I know we all are, we got to jump on Still, too. So I'm going to do that. But my man Andy wanted to chime in real quick. What's up, Andy?
No, I was just going to say, with the whole Threads thing or whatnot, I just don't know how sustainable it'll be. I know it's connected to your Instagram, so it's like, people are going to be popping with it. But one of the things that made Twitter so popular, in my opinion, was how you'll watch a news broadcast, a sports broadcast, any type of media broadcast, and, on the little graphic below their name, they'll have their Twitter handle. So I'm just thinking to myself, like, I feel like the media hasn't embraced Threads just yet.
Right.
So that's just a little bit of my concern. It's sustainability.
It hasn't embraced Threads yet, but it's like a week old. So, I mean, it's possible. If Twitter keeps faltering, I will say, though, and that's it's definitely a fair point to make, Andy, but if Twitter keeps faltering, and they've been having usage issues too, like people can't look at a certain amount of tweets, or I don't even know. I'm not on Twitter that much, so I haven't experienced any of that, but they've been having some technical issues that people foresaw a long time ago when Elon came in and fired everybody. And so I don't know if Twitter is going to be sustainable either, and if they do falter, then you might see when people do interviews their little Threads handle instead, or maybe even their Still handle. But I wanted to ask you, Jerome, about this, and you alluded to this, saying that it's false that Twitter employees came over to Threads. But Twitter has threatened to sue Meta, which is Meta is formerly known as Facebook, which is also the company that owns Instagram and therefore owns Threads, because Threads is a subsidiary of Instagram. And so it's like if you have Instagram, you can just join Threads instantaneously. So, but Twitter has threatened to sue Meta over its new Threads app, which Mark Zuckerberg has openly billed as a rival, claiming that the company has violated Twitter's intellectual property rights. In a letter to CEO Mark Zuckerberg, a lawyer for Twitter said the company has serious concerns that Meta has engaged in systematic, willful, and unlawful misappropriation of Twitter's trade secrets and other intellectual property. So you already said, Jerome, that those claims are false. So do you think that this lawsuit is going to go anywhere, or is it just Twitter kind of being sour? Twitter kind of feeling a certain way about having a lot of people going over to Threads?
Yes, it's Twitter throwing a temper tantrum. They're trying to yield whatever power and stuff they do have. What we have to realize is that Facebook was very successful. Instagram is very successful. So you have Threads now, all owned by the same company. So they know the do's and the don'ts of social media platforms and, all the legalities. So I don't think Meta is less than smart enough to go and hire Twitter engineers because they want to compete with Twitter, knowing that it will be against their non-compete or whatever clauses they have. So it's going to be tossed out, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think you're right. Mark Zuckerberg has been in this game a long time. He knows what's up. He's not about to do something crazy and mess around and put his whole empire in jeopardy. But I do want to talk about these Emmy nominations that came out today.
Yes.
And I'm really I'm really glad you're on the show, because social media, man, you know your stuff, and I'm really glad we have you on the show tonight. And these Emmy nominations, though, definitely some interesting stuff to talk about. So Better Call Saul's got a bunch of nominations. The Crown, House of Dragons, The Last of Us, Succession, The White Lotus, Yellow Jackets, and Andor. Those are all of the Best Drama Series nominations. And I'm just looking here for the black people. And there are there are a few. We're gonna highlight a lot of them, or the ones that are there, in the next few minutes here when we come forward. But I do wanna ask, just off the top of your head, and we got about a minute before we got to step aside for a second, Jerome. But is there a nomination that stood out most to you?
There is not a nomination that really stood out most. In a nutshell, what I will say is that I'm like Issa Rae. I'm just rooting for everybody that's black at this moment. So that's where I'm at. But I do want to ask you a question, because they haven't announced a host yet. Mm-hmm. Who would you like to see host the Emmys? I guess you can answer that when we come back. But that's where I'm trying to get to, because no matter who's nominated, if the show is not entertaining, it's not good, people are sitting there for hours and they're not entertained, and it gets bored. So who will be a great host? That's a great question. I already have a couple people in mind, and we will discuss them when we do come forward. And we're gonna get into all these Emmy nominations, all of the black nominees, and gonna get your thoughts on this. And if you want to chime in, our number is 800-920-1580. That's 800-920-1580. More with TV producer and media personality Jerome Trammell when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Lil Real Howery. Right now, you're listening to KBLA Talk 1580. That's right, the Raw Report.
More of the Raw Report with Robin Ayers when we come forward.
I'm Doug Davis, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. U.S. officials are investigating a hacking effort linked to China. CNN is reporting the State Department was one of 2 executive branch agencies whose email accounts were hacked. Investigators say the hacking began in mid-May. The Emmy nominations for Best Actress in a Comedy Series are out. African-American Quinta Brunson is nominated for the 2nd year in a row for her role in Abbott Elementary. The Primetime Emmy Awards will be held on September 18th in Los Angeles. Black tennis star Christopher Eubanks' Wimbledon run has come to an end. The 27-year-old American lost today. That was Eubanks' first appearance in a major quarterfinal and in the main draw at Wimbledon. The Atlanta, Georgia native entered on a 9-match win streak. And that is the latest. I'm Doug Davis from the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
In Chino, we've got a SIG alert on the 60 eastbound right at Central Avenue. It's a stalled out big rig blocking the right lane, and it is stacked up from the 71. In East LA, on the 5 southbound before Dittman Avenue, got a brand new crash. The center lane is blocked. It is going to be a slow ride as well, coming away from the 60. And in Anaheim Hills, 241 northbound, right at the Windy Ridge Toll Plaza, got some police activity. All lanes are blocked.
Wendy's is open until midnight or later, which means all your favorite menu items are up later too. The Baconator still tastes just as juicy and bacony at night, so listen to that craving and turn in for the night at a Wendy's drive-thru. Hours may vary at participating U.S. Wendy's.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
A spectacular run at Wimbledon came to an end Wednesday morning for Christopher Eubanks, the brother from Atlanta. Eubanks lost to Daniil Medvedev of Russia in 5 sets. Medvedev was down 2-1 going into the 4th set and needed to win the last 2 sets to hold off Eubanks. Eubanks was on the doorstep of becoming the first black American male tennis player to reach the semifinals at Wimbledon since Arthur Ashe in 1975. Eubanks was the last American male on the board at Wimbledon. No American male has won Wimbledon since Pete Sampras in 2000. For making it to the quarterfinals, Eubanks will take home $437,000 and some change, his biggest payday since turning pro in 2017. We will certainly hear more about Christopher Eubanks. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is dedicated to empowering our communities by providing progressive talk radio for our audience. We strive to be an intersectional voice for the voiceless. As a Black-owned and operated station, we are committed to highlighting diverse perspectives and creating safe spaces for meaningful dialogue. We believe that everyone has something unique to bring to these political, economic, social, and cultural conversations, and we don't shy away from the hard conversations about current events. We endeavor to be a beacon of hope and understanding, while boldly challenging listeners to think more deeply about difficult topics that impact us all. With this in mind, our mission statement at KBLA Talk 1580 is simple: to create an inclusive platform that promotes civil discourse through honest dialogue and encourages personal growth among our listeners, so they can become the active agents of change. Our vision is to establish ourselves as the premier radio network with relevant programming across the beloved community, connecting people through shared experiences and collective power for lasting impact beyond these challenging times.
JP Morgan Chase is building on the investments in California and around the country to help close the racial wealth gap and build a more equitable future. As part of JP Morgan Chase commitment, they are taking action to help improve financial wealth and access to banking in the Black community, helping more people open low-cost checking and savings accounts, hosting community seminars with supporting Black-led institutions by building awareness about financial investments, hiring community managers, and opening community center branches like Crenshaw, Inglewood, and downtown LA. Visit today, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Again, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Get the tools to help reach your financial goals. Visit today, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Again, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Need a fresh start? LADWP income qualified customers can get up to $15,000 tax-free to pay overdue water utility bills with the Low Income Household Water Assistance Program. Benefit amounts may vary and will not impact other benefits. Visit ladwp.com/cares and apply today. That's ladwp.com/cares.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. Keeping you informed about what's really going on.
Who's got next?
And what not to miss in entertainment. You're listening to the Rob Report on KBLA Talk 1580.
Tell me how you want it, yeah. Call me and I'm on my way. Tell me that you need me, yeah. I'll give it to you night and day. I'm talking about Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, all day, yeah. 24/7, yeah, all day, yeah. 24/7.
Loving the shit out you for 7 days straight, and now I can't live without you. And if we ever broke up, I won't have a kid without you. You forever in my heart. I won't forget about you. I be crushing you on Monday like it's Wednesday.
And it's Avi Bernard in for Robin Ayers on the Rob Report. My man Andy spinning and winning. That LMA right there, LMA got that voice. I like LMA. But we are back, and we are joined by TV producer and media personality Jerome Trammell. And I'm just going through these Emmy nominations. They just came out today, and they are still vastly, vastly white. I will tell you that. And I'm not saying those actors are not deserving. Of course, there are some wonderful actors. But, I'm going through the list on The Hollywood Reporter. And Best actor in a drama series, no black people. I will say that Pedro Pascal is nominated. I do like Pedro Pascal from The Last of Us, so there's at least a little bit of diversity there. But you go through Best Actress in a Drama Series. Let me see. White. Best Supporting Actor in a Drama Series. And I had to look some of these people up because I don't even know who all of them are. But let's see. White. Okay, all the nominees in that category are white as well. Best Supporting Actress in a Drama Series. Let's see. White. All right, so I am just noticing a bit of a trend. And it's not a surprise. But to answer your question, Jerome, that you posed before we stepped aside, who would be a good host of the Emmys? You got to think Trevor Noah is a good choice. And I'm going to throw a name out there that no one is going to expect, or most people probably don't even know. And that is Janelle James. And she is a comedian. You probably know her, Jerome, but most people probably don't know
absolutely.
her. But Janelle James is actually nominated this year for her role in Abbott Elementary, and most of the black nominees are nominated for Abbott Elementary. And so just from Abbott Elementary alone, you have Tyler James Williams, you have Quinta Brunson, of course, you have Cheryl Lee Ralph, and you have Janelle James. And so that's and then the only other black nominee that I think I could be missing one, but it's Jessica Williams from Shrinking, who is also awesome. And so I'm going to go with Janelle James and Trevor Noah as my two picks to be good hosts for the Emmy Awards 2023. But did you have anyone specific in mind?
Yes, it's funny that you mentioned her because I was thinking we need a black woman comedian. Like, I was going through the list of hosts of the past award shows at the Emmys, and I didn't find not one black comedian that was a woman. So I was like, you know what? That's who we need. And I was thinking Monique. I think Monique will be the excellent host. She did amazing at the BET Awards. We know that it was iconic. But I also think that it's sort of paying homage to the stuff that she has faced in this industry, and she's come back. She's working, got the Netflix special. So I think it would just be a full circle moment for Monique to host the Emmys.
That is an interesting point, and you are correct. It would be interesting if nothing else, and I think we're on the same page. Having a black woman host would be awesome, and I think Janelle James would be good. Got to give a shout out to everyone watching on YouTube. Forrest Harrison has been my dog for a long time. What up, Forrest? And you know what? I got to give a shout out to Robin Ayers, who is somewhere other than here. I don't know where she is, but she is also here because she is chatting with y'all on YouTube. And I know it's different. Yeah, I know it's different to be watching the show that you usually host. It's a very weird feeling, I'm sure. But now you get to see what it's like, except you can't watch yourself because that's just not physically possible. But unless you,
and I'm sure she's taking notes to give you some constructive criticism.
Absolutely,
so be prepared for the
as she should. And I will be looking for a strongly worded email as soon as I leave here from Robin. But shout out to Penny Thompson, to Pretty Brown Mimi, Terry Tari, to Penny. I already said Penny Thompson, and all the people watching, and Fahima, of course, a frequent listener, Faith Faust, and everyone. Y'all are just chopping it up in there. Wow. And Forrest Harrison made a good point. He said maybe Cedric the Entertainer would be a good host. And I think that's...
he's in the past.
Yeah. He's, you go back to the Kings of Comedy, I can pull lines from all the brothers that were on that show, that were on that comedy special, and classic lines. And I haven't seen him host anything like that in a long time, and I think he would be great. That's a great suggestion. And so,
yeah, you know what? And when you mentioned Trevor Noah, I was thinking he's known for being very political and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So to balance him out, and this is just like a wild card, I think if him and Cardi B were the co-host,
wow,
it would be like a ball of energy. You have the seriousness, you have the political side, you have the deep conversations. Then you have Cardi B, who's a big personality, who's entertaining and comical. So I think that'll be a great mix.
But could Cardi really kind of hold the attention and kind of go toe to toe with Trevor? Because he's just super witty, and I know I love Cardi B, and I think she's hilarious. But I don't know. I haven't seen her host anything. It does take a different kind of skill to be able to host something along the lines of an award show. Have you ever seen her host anything, or do you just think just her personality in general?
I think I think she just has the personality to host the show. And mind you, like, she's not presenting all these awards like that, so it's like it's not like she has to have like this long dialogue. She's just, you know, first of all, there's a script written, you know, but also that they just bounce the energy off each other. I just think that it'll be a great, you know, a great duo.
Hey, I'm not saying you're wrong. If it's up, then it's stuck. But I'll say, let's see. Closing out this discussion about the Emmy nominees. I'm gonna say I'm just going through these again, and shows that I really enjoyed. I mean, I gotta give it up for Ted Lasso, and I really enjoyed that show. It's a very diverse show, and it's got every kind of person in there, and it's got some great black actors in there as well, and most of them are not from here. And I actually almost got one on this show, but it was just their time. He's in London, and it just wasn't gonna work. And so, but that show is really great. That's just a really feel good show. It was only 3 seasons, and they had their series finale this year. And when the last episode went off, I was a little bit sad. But I think it is really great the way that they kind of had a plan for that show from the beginning. They had to have the show be 3 seasons from the beginning. And I want to get your thoughts, Jerome, on just the lengths of series in general, because you know it's like that saying from The Dark Knight. You know, you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. To me, that's the balance that series are always trying to strike. And if you have a series go too long, i.e. Game of Thrones, and you kind of you fall apart at the end and you can't land that plane, then the whole series is kind of like it's marred. The whole series is kind of tarnished. And so, what do you think about a good lengths for series in general?
I think it's like a cult following, you know, kind of like how you had Friends and stuff like that. I think that like, it can last as long as the fans and the audience is watching. You just got to make sure that it has like evergreen topics that you can talk about. Some of these shows, like, once you figure out the plot of the show, it's like, okay, where do we go from here? And that's why I like how Power kind of like did their spin-offs in different layers of shows, because every show's going to run its course. So yeah, you gotta jump out while it's still hot, and if you want to come back, then come back as a spin-off, you know, or something. Not try to carry the show out too long, otherwise it just won't be good.
You made a good point about, and I think Friends, like, shows are different now. Shows like Friends or Living Single or Martin or Fresh Prince, you know, shows like that are just classic sitcoms that, as you said, are evergreen and can be played to this day and be awesome. Shows aren't really like that anymore. Shows are just different in this age of streaming. You go on Netflix, and I don't know of any current shows that are kind of in the vein of the classic, like 90s to early 2000s sitcom, like a Fresh Prince or a Friends. But I think those shows, because of the way they're formatted, and because of, you know, obviously the actors have to be great as well, because of the way they're formatted, those shows went on for so many seasons and didn't feel stale. And they probably could have kept going.
Yeah, and also because you didn't have 100 different, you know, channels or different options to watch something. You have like all the streaming services, you have the online, you have like apps on your phone, then you have cable. It's so many ways to consume a show and content, and that's why like the viewership and the audience and stuff isn't there anymore. Like, I remember when Real Housewives of Atlanta like first came out, like they were averaging, you know, 5, 6, 9, 10, 12 million viewers, and now they're trying hard to get 1 million. Like, it's definitely a change.
Yeah, and that's a great point too. I mean, the changes in just the TV landscape overall, and back then you couldn't even record stuff, let alone just go on to Netflix and watch it anytime you want and binge the whole season. You had to be in front of your TV at the time that it airs every week. Otherwise, you missed it, and then maybe you'll catch a rerun. But that was appointment television, and that is, even though a lot of these streamers now, like HBO, they will release one episode a week. They'll do that, and it works to a degree, but it's not the same because you can still go back and just binge it anytime and watch it the next day. But yeah, it's a completely different landscape now. I totally agree. But,
yeah, if you know, like I know, there are a lot of people who are not even paying for cable or any of these streaming services. They're watching all these shows online from free from all these, movie and television show websites that just post the content. So there's that.
And Jerome Trammell is joining us from the ATL. Before we let you go, Jerome, I want to ask you about this Meek Mill situation with him being on stage, him saying, "Free Tory Lanez." Tory Lanez has been convicted of shooting Megan Thee Stallion. And we often talk about how we as black people aren't supported enough. But I think we also have to look inward sometimes and ask why we aren't supporting black women as much, especially in this instance, whereas this man put her life in jeopardy, could have killed her, and we still got these rappers saying "Free Tory Lanez." I don't get. You don't have to say somebody needs to be free just because you know them or because you collaborated on a song. If I have a friend who I've known my whole life, and this dude goes and shoots a woman, I'm not gonna be over here advocating for his freedom. And so I just want to get your thoughts on that, Jerome.
Yeah. So let me say this. These thoughts are mine. These are mine solely.
Mm-hmm.
Trash men will always be trash men. And now we have men who go to extreme lengths to not impress women anymore, but to impress men. And that's what this is giving. The fact that people were yelling "free meat" and Rock Nation actually had a helping hand in making sure that, he was released, he was free. And then Rock Nation is also in partnership with Megan Thee Stallion. And then you shout out her abuser on stage. Meek Mill has been taking L's ever since Nicki Minaj dumped him, and he will forever take L's because that's just his character. It's trash.
All right, man. That is a hilarious take, and that's why I'm so glad you're on the show. I don't say I disagree. And if you're eventually, if you're always taking these L's, you got to look at the common denominator. And
yeah,
if you're over here saying "free this dude," then you got to look at what you're doing. What are you doing?
Listen. Men will be friends or stay friends with men who have abused their sisters, their children, their mother. Men love impressing men. Even when you think about the clubs, men go to the clubs, popping bottles, spending money. You think it's for the benefit of the woman, but they just be trying to impress or show out on other men. And it's like, what are we doing here? This is getting a little bit weird.
I hear you, man. And also, there's this thing on social media where if there's a man defending a woman, let's say on Twitter or now on Threads or even on Spill, which I haven't been on yet, but so I don't know if it takes place on there. But you have a man defending a woman on Twitter, so there's a thread under there, and then so the man is defending the woman, and someone comes under there. Oh, she's not gonna let you smash, bro. So what?
It happens to me all.
So the only reason, yeah,
all the time, and I'm like, they're like, oh, she ain't gonna let you hit, or I hope she sees this. I'm like, first of all, I'm not for a woman's consumption. Let's start there. that just goes to show you how far we are lost in society and culture. When if you're defending a person who's been treated wrong, then you become, abused or a victim to the bullying and harassment, and it's crazy. It's crazy.
Absolutely, and as if and when you're saying something like, "Oh, she's not gonna let you smash, bro," you're insinuating that the only reason you should defend a woman is because you're trying to get some sex from her, and that's
they're because that's what they do. But I will say this, and I always encourage women, especially black women, protect yourself. Get your mace, get your tasers, get your things. If it's legal to carry in state, get your things and always protect yourself, because men will stand around and watch a woman being beaten and don't do anything nowadays. So make sure you protect yourself.
Great point, Jerome. And that's one of the first things I got my wife when we started dating is a can of mace. So you're absolutely right. I always recommend women carrying around some mace because men are sadly crazy. Jerome, how can we keep up with you?
Yeah, I'm on social media. I'm on Spiel, my new favorite social media platform right now. I'm on Twitter and Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. It's all, Mr. Jerome Trammell. So that's where you can find me at.
Jerome, always a pleasure having you. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us tonight.
No problem. Anytime, Avi.
All right, talk to you soon. And when we come forward, we're just gonna wrap things up here. I'm gonna tell you about a show that is entering its second season that I am really looking forward to. It's not necessarily a black show, but there are a lot of black people in the show. And it's a show that I really enjoyed the first season, and it took, I feel like it's been over a year, if not a year and a half. And I think what's today, the 12th? Today's the 12th. I believe season 2 comes out tonight. The first episode of season 2 comes out tonight. I'm going to tell you exactly what show I'm talking about when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey, I'm Damian Young. I'm chilling with Robin on the Rob Report.
You're inside the Rob Report with Robin Ayers on KBLA Talk 1580.
The family of Keenan Anderson is suing the city of Los Angeles for $100 million. Maisha Cairo here with your K-Black Minute News, brought to you by CaliforniaBlackMedia.org. Keenan Anderson, a high school English teacher that was visiting Los Angeles from Washington, D.C., was tragically killed at the hands of the Los Angeles Police Department in January of this year. His family, alongside civil rights and personal injury attorney Benjamin Crump and Carl Douglas, have announced a $100 million lawsuit against the city of Los Angeles. Crump and Douglas are representing Keenan Anderson's son, Sincere Anderson, and his mother, Gabrielle Hansel. The family is suing for civil rights violations, assault and battery, false imprisonment, and negligence on the part of the LAPD officers. The family of Keenan Anderson and attorneys Crump and Douglas want it to be known that this is only part of a systemic issue within the fabric of police departments everywhere.
In our community, mental health struggles can sometimes go unnoticed. The suicide rate among Black youth has risen faster than any other ethnic group. Only 1 in 3 African Americans who need mental health care receives it. African American women are only half as likely as their Caucasian counterparts to seek professional mental health services. Even those who guide us spiritually can sometimes face their own challenges. 45% of pastors say they've experienced depression or burnout to the extent they need to take a leave of absence from ministry. As people of faith, it's time to acknowledge it's okay not to be okay. You can pray and get help. Visit normalizehelp.org for more information and resources. Join us in raising mental health awareness in our community. Funded by the Los Angeles County Department of Mental Health and the Champion Counseling Center of Faithful Central Bible Church.
KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 joins you in standing for voting rights. When We All Vote is a leading national nonpartisan initiative on a mission to change the culture around voting and to increase participation in each and every election by helping to close the race and age gap. Created by Michelle Obama, When We All Vote brings together individuals, institutions, brands, and organizations to register new voters across the country and advance civic education for the entire family and voters of every age to build an informed and engaged electorate for today and generations to come. When We All Vote empowers their supporters and volunteers to take action through voting, advocating for their rights, and holding their elected officials accountable. Please visit whenweallvote.org to stand up for your rights, voting rights. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Giving you your daily dose of entertainment and celebrity news.
You're inside the Rob
Report with Robin Ayers on KBLA Talk 1580.
It's Avi Bernard in for Robin Ayers, and I got to give a shout out to some of these people in the comments because you have pointed out a huge oversight on my part, and I appreciate that because this show is not about me. Thomas Outlaw, Roy Wood Jr. is the perfect host. Yes, that's who I knew I was forgetting about somebody, and Roy Wood Jr. is that somebody, like Aaliyah. And so I want to give a shout out to Thomas Outlaw because Roy Wood Jr., who hosted the Correspondence Dinner, the White House Correspondence Dinner, phenomenal comedian. I love Roy Wood Jr. Would love to see him host the Emmys or any other show. And Forrest Harrison says, Snowfall should have gotten an award. I feel you on that. And a lot of people are saying that they couldn't get down with Friends. I totally get you on that too. But if you can get past the whiteness, then it is. There's some good jokes in there, man. It's a pretty funny show. I enjoyed that show. I don't enjoy it as much as a Fresh Prince, of course, which is my favorite show of all time, or a Martin, which is right up there, probably second. But I think Friends is a good show. But Andy, what's on your mind?
Avi, man, before you go, man, I just want to acknowledge your versatility, my brother. You know what I'm saying? From doing your thing on Friday and covering Tavis, you know what I'm saying, and those type of topics, and then coming here doing your entertaining thing, man, I just want to salute you on your versatility, man. Salute.
I appreciate that, Andy, very much. I thank you, and I salute you back because these shows don't happen without you. And all the sound effects and the going to break on time and not having any dead air. Those who don't know, there's a cardinal rule in radio, no dead air. And Andy makes sure that it happens and always coming up with great songs. He picks the songs, y'all, most of the time. And so that's not an easy thing to pick songs that people enjoy. As a DJ, I know. So thank you, Andy, for that. And before I go, I just want to talk about the show I was mentioning before break. The show that I am looking forward to is called Foundation. It's on Apple TV. It's a sci-fi show. And it's about, 10,000 years in the future or something like that. And there's a ruler of a planet, which is the most powerful planet at that time. And he has cloned himself so many times that he himself and his clones have been in power over his planet and the universe for thousands of years. It's crazy. And season 2 is finally out. I'm so excited about it. I think I'm in the minority on this one because I don't think a lot of people know about this show, but I love the show. And so I want to give a shout out to Foundation. And The Voice of Reason with Zoe Williams is coming up next. All your romance talk, romance questions, you can ask Zoe anything. Have a great evening. I'm Avi Bernard, and I am gone.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Doug Davis, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Inflation is up, but less than expected. The Consumer Price Index showed inflation went up just 0.2% in June. Meanwhile, annual inflation slowed to 3%, marking the 12th consecutive month that annual inflation has been cooling off. 2 Birmingham, Alabama firefighters are hospitalized with gunshot wounds. An investigation